In this week's Dinosaur Simulator update, we got a couple new models. It's actually been a while since I last made a Dinosaur Simulator video. I believe the last video was back when the movie event was still going on. This week we have the new playable called the Spicomelis, which is sort of like an Ankylosaur type of dino. And they also added the Shonisaurus and the Tokarahaya from last week. This is like a whale and this is like an ichthyosaur. And in addition to the new playables, they've also added a few new remodels like the Ankylosaurus remodel, which looks like this. Funnily enough, they did not go ahead and add the Euophocephalus remodel, which I'm pretty surprised. And I believe the other new remodel this week is the Kentrosaurus, which looks like this. And finally, we have a new skin for the Acrocanthosaurus called the Warpath Acrocanthosaurus. This guy costs 1000 SDNA, which I think is kind of expensive, but the model does look pretty good. And we'll be checking out all of these skins in this video. Okay, so starting off with the new dino, this is the Spicomelis, which I have never heard of actually. It's got these weirdly long spikes sticking out of its neck, but the rest of the body actually has pretty short spikes. I don't know if this is like a design choice or what. It'll be interesting if the actual dino looks like this. And you saw some of the idle animation. It kind of does a shake, and if you look at the end of the tail, it actually has some spikes there, like a stegosaur rather than most ankylosaurs. Here is what the walk animation looks like. It's got a lot of body movement while it's walking, which is pretty surprising. And here is the sprint. This thing actually moves pretty fast for an ankylosaur, and the animations are really fluid. You can see when I turn, the tail moves in accordance to that. Here are the attacks. This guy has a few attack animations. It's got the tail swipe. What else does it have? It's got like a little bite there and the head swing. I think that's it for the attack animations. It looks like it's got 3. And now let's check the AoE. Okay, so it rears up and does a stomp. And now let's hear the sound effects, starting with the roar. Let's hear that again. Moving on to the calls. One more time. Not too much going on with the animations for the sound effects. Finally, the growl. Okay, now let's check out the eat animation. And I wonder if this guy has a unique animation for when you eat trees. Does not look like it. Alright, next let's check out the drink animation. Pretty standard. Here is the swim animation, which looks like this. It almost looks like it's walking underwater. A lot of tail movement going on too. And finally, the rest pose. So it kind of just lays down, eyes are closed. And yeah, that's about it for this new dino called the Spicomelis. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Comment down below if you know the proper way to pronounce it. Okay, so here we have the Ankylosaurus remodel, and you can see it doesn't really have many spikes compared to the Spicomelis from before. It's mostly just bony bumps here. Here is the walk animation. I've never noticed this before with the Ankylosaurus, but its legs are really, really short. Like, look how short its front limbs are. And here is part of the idle animation, just like the Spicomelis, it does like a shake. And here is the sprint animation. Yeah, this thing just has really short limbs. I guess this is just how it's built, scientifically speaking. Now let's check the attack. So it's, of course, it's got the tail swipe, the bite. Does it only have 2 animations? Maybe it's got 2 different versions of the tail swipe, it looks like. Yeah, it's got the vertical and horizontal swipe. And then it's got like the bite. I think that's it for the attack animations. Alright, now let's check the AoE. Okay, so for the AoE, it kind of sits back and then charges forward with its head. I was not really expecting that. I thought it was going to use its tail club. Now let's check out the sound effects, starting with the roar. Pretty short sound effects. Let's hear that again. Now the call. That sounded more like a growl. And now for the growl. Let's hear that one more time. I do think I like the Ankylosaurus sound effects a little bit better than the Spicomelis sound effects. Alright, now let's check the eat animations. And now let's see if it has different eat animations. I actually think it does, because if you look at the neck, it's tilted upwards when I'm clicking on this tree here. Alright, now for the drink. Pretty standard. Not really much you could do with the drink animation, especially for a default skin like this. And here is the swim animation. I don't think its eyes are supposed to be closed. This is just part of the idle, right? Or am I wrong? Is the eyes closed during the swim animation? I think it might be. I guess it just closes its eyes during the swim. That's a pretty nice detail there. And here is the rest pose. Sits down just like the Spicomelis. Eyes are closed. It's got really subtle movement going on here to show that it's breathing. And that's about it. Okay, so next up is the Kentrosaurus remodel. And here is what it looks like. Right off the bat, it's got these spines on its shoulders, which is what Kentrosaurus is all about. And I'm actually surprised they went with a more gray color scheme. This looks more like a recolor skin. Here is the walk animation. It's actually moving pretty fast already, even in the walk. Here is the sprint. I do like the sprint animation. You can see how much the tail is moving when I'm sprinting here. Next is the attack. So it's got a bite. At least it looks like a bite. So it's got two different attack animations. The tail swipe. Oh wait, no, it's got like a neck swing too. So it's got three different animations, it looks like. Next, the AoE. Okay, so it does a short pounce. See that one more time. Alright, now finally for the sound effects, starting with the roar. That is a really short sound. Does not sound like a roar at all. It almost sounds like it's... I don't know what it sounds like. Next is the call. Okay, another really short sound effect. Sounds like it's sneezing almost. Finally for the growl. Okay. One more time. They gave this guy really short sound effects, but I guess it kind of fits Kentro. Next, let's check the E animation. And if I were to eat a tree, yes, there is a separate animation for when I'm eating a tree. Stands up on its hind legs. Here is the drink animation. And the swim animation looks like this. Here is the rest pose. Lies on its stomach. Eyes are closed. And yeah, that's about it for the Kentrosaurus remodel. Alright, next up is the Warpath Acrocanthosaurus skin. This guy costs a whopping 1000 SDNA, but don't worry, this won't be a limited skin, so it'll be buyable forever. I actually wasn't able to pay for this skin all by myself, so shout out to this guy for paying the majority of the Warpath Acrocanthosaurus skin. And here is the idle animation. You can see it's got the foot tapping right here. And the model reminds me a lot of the Dominion Giganotosaurus, especially the head. And if you look at the jaws, you'll notice the top jaw is actually a bit longer than the lower jaw. And the bright color scheme reminds me of the dinosaurs from Dinosaur Train. Here is the walk animation, which is heavily stylized. No other dino has this sort of walk animation. It almost looks like it's trying to sneak from how the legs are moving here. Here is the run animation, perfectly in sync with the speed it's moving at. Next, let's check out the, okay, so this is part of the idle, I think. This also reminds me a bit of the Dinosaur King designs. They're usually brightly colored as well. And the green and yellow actually works pretty well on the Warpath Acrocantho. Here are the attack animations. Okay, so it's got a bite, a head bash, it's got like a neck swing there. I think it's got 3 different attack animations, if I'm not mistaken here. Each of these animations are very exaggerated, which is a good thing. Here is the AoE. Okay, so I did not expect that at all. So in the AoE, it throws itself down and then gets back up. That almost looks like a wrestling move right there. Very interesting animations. Next, let's check out the sound effects, starting with the roar. Let's hear that again. And now for the call. These are definitely custom sound effects. And finally for the growl. Let's hear that again. Here is the eat animation. And the drink. It's actually got a very aggressive drink animation there. Here is the swim, which really looks like it's walking underwater. This might actually just be the walk animation. Does this not look like it's walking underwater? Look at that. It's perfectly placing its feet in place. Finally for the rest pose. Okay, interesting. So the rest pose, it does not lay down like most of every dino I've seen before. It actually stands up. The eyes are not fully closed. It opens its eyes sometimes. You know what this animation reminds me of? It's like you're in a fighting game and you're stunned. This is what it looks like. That is really creative. I did not expect this from this skin. So yeah, that's about it for this week's update. I know they added a few new playables last week, which is this whale creature here. It's called the Takarahaya. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I did not have the time to grow this guy to full adult. Here is what the model looks like. I don't think the baby model actually looks that different from the adult model. I'm not going to do a full showcase of the animations. I'm just going to have this playing. Maybe a few of the animations on screen. I think that was the AoE right there, or did the turn. So the attack animations. Let's check the eat real quick. Maybe a few of the land animations. So this is what it looks like while it's moving on land. And the other new playable is the Shonisaurus. Here is what it looks like on land. Kind of just lays there. Not quite sure how it's moving like this. It almost looks like it's flopping like a fish. This is one of the biggest ichthyosaurs. I think only Shonisaurus is bigger, which also got a remodel, by the way. That was the AoE, huh? It's pretty nice. Do the attack animations. And the eat. And yeah, that's about it for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the new playables, which I actually really like that they're adding more playables to the game instead of just skins. And what do you think of the Warpath Acrocanthosaurus? That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.